Hello friends, welcome to Patak's Computer Academy online classes. In the previous class, we learned about the basic parts of computer. Today we will see the generation of computer. So in computer, there are basically five types or five generations. So let's start. So first of all, we have to know about what do you mean by generation. If anybody told that generation, and it means the improvement in the development of product. And if that improvement is amazing or changes in a bigger way, then it will categorize into a new generation. Okay. Thus, every new generation, the circuitry has gotten smaller and more advances than the previous generation. That's why in earlier times, you can see that your computer are heavy one, but nowadays the computers are in your palm. Why? Because of their smaller circuitry. Now, computers can be classified in various ways depending on their generation, working, size, and use. So, based on generation, we divide our computers into five. So, first generation starts from 1940 to 1956. In this phase, the computers are based on vacuum tubes. Because of vacuum tubes, computers are very large, very expensive, and it requires a large amount of electricity to work. And also, it produces more. In this generation, computers programming was done using machine language, that is 0 and 1 form. So it is very difficult because you already know that the combination of 0, 1 is very difficult to identify. Pattern. However, these computers could calculate data in a millisecond. So speed is okay. Some examples are UNIVAC and UNIVAC 1. Okay, so 2 or 3 points you have to remember. The phase 1940 to 1956. The technology, vacuum tubes. Programming done by machine language. Okay, and it will calculate the data or result in millisecond. At least 2 to 3 points you have to remember. Now, second generation starts from 1957 to 1963. In this generation, vacuum tubes were replaced by transistors. And due to transistor circuitry, computers were smaller in size. It produces less amount of heat. It requires less amount of electricity as well. As we know that in the first generation, computers works on machine language, but in the second generation, computers used assembly language. For right now, you have to know that assembly language is just like us English-like language. So it is easy for human being. In the first generation, calculation can be done in a millisecond, but in second generation, The computers could calculate data in a microsecond. And some examples are IBM 1920, IBM 1401. Okay, so 3, 4 points you have to remember. The phase 1957 to 1963. Technology is used transistor. Assembly language is used rather than machine language, and it performs the result in microsecond. Moving on further, the third generation starts from 1964 and ends on 1971. And in this generation, transistors were replaced by ICs, okay, integrated circuit. Multiple transistors were placed on a silicon chip. Thus, it reduces the size of computers enormously. Due to this, computer used lesser power and generated lesser. Now, in this generation, the concept of operating system and other application softwares arrived. These computers were developed for general purpose as well as commercial purpose. As we know that in first generation, calculation are done in millisecond. In second generation, it is in microsecond, but now the computers could calculate data in nanosecond. Now the speed is going to be very fast. In this language, high-level language were introduced. High-level languages are those languages that can be written in English-like language, like C, C++. Some examples of third generation computers are IBM 360 series, CDC 1700, and many. Okay, so in this generation, you have to remember what? The phase starts from 1964 and ends in 1971. Technology used is ICs. Operating system concepts arrives, and the speed is calculated in nanoseconds. Now, the fourth generation is from 1972 to till now. Okay, in this generation, the technologies are used LSI and VLSI. What it is? LSI means large scale integration and VLSI means very large scale integration technology. Here, integration of thousands and millions of transistors on a small silicon chips. High-level languages like C and C++ are used. Operating system like MS-DOS and Windows were developed. And the computation speed increased to picoseconds. Now speed is very fast. Okay. Thus, in fourth generation, right now we are using those computers. Okay. For example, Cray 1, Apple, etc. And the last generation is fifth generation, present and future. Fifth generation computers are still in development. Why? Because the technology is used are AI, artificial intelligence. Okay. So that a computer can understand spoken words. I'm going to give a simple, small example of AI, that is your chatbots or Siri, Alexa. They can recognize your voice, and based on your instructions, they can play your songs. Okay. Currently, scientists are working to increase the processing power of computers. We are trying to create a computer with a real IQ. Some examples are IBM notebooks, Param 10,000, etc. So for fifth generation, you have to remember that it is still going on and technology is used for software purposes, not for the hardware purposes, that is AI. So that's it. Today we learned about generations. First generation related to vacuum tubes. Second generation is related to transistor. Third generation is related to ICs. Fourth generation is related to LSI and VLSI. And fifth generation is related to AI. I hope you understand what are the various generations of computing. In the next class, we will see the basics of keyboard and mouse. Keyboard and mouse are the basic examples of input devices. Till then, take care of yourself. Bye-bye.